We'll start, Joe, maybe with you, and just lead us through a little bit of the general state of the economy and how you see things maybe looking into the fall, perhaps.
Well, it's a little like what we discussed about a month ago. The the recession, which everyone has been predicting for the last year or so, hasn't yet arrived, and a lot of the numbers, particularly in the U.S., are getting stronger. So it doesn't look like it's imminent, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen, because in almost every case where there's an inverted yield curve, that is when the short rates are higher than the long rates, you do get a recession. But it's likely, if it happens, to be relatively mild, and that's of some comfort. But right now, everyone again is looking at what the two central banks, the Fed and the Bank of Canada, are likely to do. I think Jerome Powell, head of the Fed, signaled pretty clearly that he's looking at potentially two more increases, and then that will be it, because inflation is stubborn, but there's some signs, some encouraging signs. In Canada, we had a surprising increase last month, and more than likely we're going to have another one, a quarter point increase. And the central banks are determined to wrestle inflation down. Whether they can get it to the 2% target is looking rather increasingly challenging,
Right.
But that's their central job.
Sandra Pupatello, we'll turn to you next. Inflation is down. Interest rates have gone up. Does that mean that we can look for better times in the future?
Well, I really think that it's impacting different segments in different ways. So if you're in the service industry, you're struggling to find people to hire. We know that the unemployment is different for different levels of education and skill set. So if you're highly skilled, they're highly educated, there's actually not as many jobs available as there are for those who are underskilled, and there's a dearth there. So the tourism industry is struggling to find people to hire. Gas prices being high, people aren't moving around as much as we thought that they might. So different segments are being affected differently. The interest rates, in my view, have that delayed effect. So not everybody has a mortgage renewal in the same year as all these increases. So wait one more year when you've got another, say, 20% of the economy having mortgage renewals, and all of a sudden they're going to realize that they need to make hundreds more per month to satisfy those new rate payments. And I think that is going to be a continuing struggle, especially for those at the sort of the lower end of the income spectrum. So, if I had a wish, I'd wish they would stop raising the rates, because you can see the effect. It just sucks that money right out of the economy and sends it to the bank. And the bank's having no problem making money these days, despite the economy.
Gary Marr, what's your point of view on all of this?
Well, Canadians are suffering the double whammy of high interest rates and inflation. Inflation is starting to come down, but I do agree with Sandra that it depends on what sector you're in. So a protracted war in Ukraine has probably created a floor for commodity prices that will go on as long as that conflict continues. You've got a situation in China where the bounce back post-COVID has not been as big an economic boom as was anticipated. You've still got supply chain issues. And here in Canada, we are an export-related economy. And if you can't move it, you can't sell it. And so the issue of, what's going on in the Port of Vancouver right now is relevant to this issue. That is the biggest port that Canada has. And if we can't get our materials, for export out of that port, that does create problems within the country. Will there be a recession this fall? I mean, lots of indicators are the answer is yes. It may not be as deep as suggested, but Deloitte's put out a report recently suggested perhaps.
I got to cut you off there. I hate to do that, but we are going to take a little bit of a break. We'll jump right back in, Gary, I assure you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.